Get TPE, get your blood cleaned up immediately. You will not make progress in an anti-aging regime without it. Hi, this is Roger Reich. I am an anti-aging zealot who about 8 years ago started developing a protocol to improve my longevity and health span. That started with hormone therapy. Next went to therapeutic plasma exchange, on to hyperbaric therapy and exosome and stem cell therapy and diet and exercise and lots of saunas. And it has made an enormous difference. My vitality as a 66-year-old, I would not trade for anything in the world. I started working on anti-aging about 8 years ago. I was 57. Wasn't feeling very energetic anymore. Sore, lazy, libido was low, and went to my regular doctor, and he said, "Not my job." Then I decided that, well, that's not a good enough answer. I want to know what's going on, and I want to fix myself because I love life, and I'm going to get after it. And ended up researching testosterone replacement therapy, TRT, doing it and finding out that it was a game changer. My testosterone levels were down in the low 300s, and I should have been up in the 800s, like a healthy middle-aged guy. Upon correcting that, I started a journey for 18 months of recovery to become, well, healthy and vibrant again. The journey is worthwhile. I ended up physically very active again, building my own house, having a great love relationship with my companion, all because of one intervention. And that led to then future discoveries as aging chipped away more at my physiology. That played an important role in my early intervention into aging. Geez, it was a couple years now that I first started a series of phone calls and consultations, leading to me flying to Chicago so I could see him, because he was clearly one of the few practitioners out there in the field actively intervening with people in their lives to produce healthy aging. And that was by itself was rare. We sort of did a review of where I was, how I was feeling, what my interventions were. Um, I filled out a huge, health analysis and questionnaire that really gave him a lot of background, and we went through that carefully and methodically. He launched me into phase 3 of my anti-aging journey, which was emphatically, you've got to get your body cleaned up, right? You've got a lifetime of toxins and heavy metals, pesticides from food, all this stuff floating around in your blood. You need to get your diet super cleaned up, and you need to come in and do therapeutic plasma exchange so we can get all of that unloaded from your bloodstream. We need to get your blood plasma clean. We need to detox your body from all these compounds that you've been collecting due to just normal life growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and as an adult, and then all the things we were exposed to that we didn't know about. I'll never forget flying to Chicago and going to see Dr. Paul and having TPE that morning, because it was nothing. It was, you sit down in a chair, you got a couple little quick pokes in your arm, you sit there, have a nice chat with the staff, and an hour and a half later, you get up and leave and begin this journey of feeling fantastic. And there is no risk here. They've got top professionals there in the room with you every minute. Dr. Paul comes in and checks on you. Um, I had fear and trepidation upon embarking on something like this, and it was completely uncalled for. I will never forget the next 2 weeks after getting TPE. It was utterly transformational. Um, I felt like I was a 30-year-old walking around with an IQ of 160. My smell was hypersensitive, my taste, cognition, memory. I would say, in terms of money and time investment, was the most powerful intervention I've ever had in my life. So after experiencing this, you know, evolution from the TPE experiment, I was all in. I now regularly do hyperbaric therapy in addition to TPE for 20 hours of sessions every 6 months. I'm getting stem cells. I'm getting exosome therapy. Continue to lead a largely whole plant organic diet. I am very methodical about my training program, specifically using HIIT on doing HIIT training, lifting weights. So ever since my initial TPE protocol, I now do a plasma donation or a TPE run every 6 months. If you have an unhealthy lifestyle in your 30s and 40s and 50s, leading up to when your body really starts to take the hit from aging in your 60s, you've got a big uphill climb. If you've had extraordinary exposure in your lifetime to heavy metals and toxins, and you know it, get TPE, get your blood cleaned up immediately. If you are engaging in an anti-aging protocol and you're looking forward to doing these bigger things like exosomes, stem cells, hyperbaric, any of those things, you have got to get your blood cleaned first. If you don't get your blood cleaned first and you go get these other very expensive anti-aging therapies, they are not going to have the same effect.